Oh, come in, come away in. Hello, hi, nice to see you. I'm just going to listen here for a second. Do you know, it was it was such fun reading those glorious opening pages of The Wind in the Willows to you when you called round the other day. Do have a seat. That I thought, you told me afterwards that you really enjoyed it, and we didn't get very far actually. So I thought we might just carry on, because of course that introduction, mole spring cleaning and feeling the divine discontent and the call, that's all, as it were, just a single character and their perceptions of the world. And it finished, you may remember, with that glorious sense of the river as discovered for the first time by Mole as a kind of living being, as a storyteller. You may remember the last sentence I read you was, when at last tired at last, he sat on the bank while the river still chattered on to him, a babbling procession of the best stories in the world, sent from the heart of the earth to be told at last to the insatiable sea. It's wonderful, the river telling stories of the earth to the sea. Of course, it's also, if you like, scientifically and geologically, right, it rises in the earth and it runs to the sea. So that's where we ended. And, you feel you could just go on reading pages like that, but a story obviously has to have characters and interactions and meetings and contrasts between people. So the very next thing that happens is that Moley, having met his first river, meets his first riverbank inhabitant, and this is the great character Ratty. I think the judicious experts think that he was probably a vole, a water vole. But Ratty is the name that's stuck, and Ratty it is. Of all the characters, I think I identify myself most strongly with Ratty, partly because of his love of the water and his general sort of poetic, romantic bent. I'm sort of tamping this. Anyway, let's just go straight from that thing about the insatiable sea and on. So we'll see Mole now sits on the grass by the river, and we have this wonderful description of the first meeting with Ratty, which is at one and the same time very sensitive to how actual animals in the wild might sort of give each other one a space and respect and eye each other up. But it's also a deeply observed human thing about how we meet and make friends. And as this is a children's book, it's very much, I think, showing children or helping children to think what it is to make a new friend. He sat on the grass and looked across the river. A dark hole in the bank opposite, just above the water's edge, caught his eye, and dreamily he fell to considering what a nice, snug dwelling place it would make for an animal with few wants and fond of a bijou riverside residence, above flood level and remote from noise and dust. As he gazed, something bright and small seemed to twinkle down in the heart of it, vanished, then twinkled once more, like a tiny star. But it could hardly be a star in such an unlikely situation. It was too glittering and small for a glowworm. Then, as he looked, it winked at him, and so declared itself to be an eye, and a small face began gradually to grow up round it, like a frame around a picture. A little brown face with whiskers, a grave, round face with the same twinkle in its eye which had first attracted his notice, small, neat ears, and thick, silky hair. It was the water rat. Then the two animals stood and regarded each other cautiously. "Hello, Mole," said the water rat. "Hello, Rat," said the mole. "Would you like to come over?" inquired the rat presently. "Oh, it's all very well to talk," said the mole, rather pettishly, being new to the river and riverside life and its ways. The rat said nothing, but stooped and unfastened a rope and hauled on it, then lightly stepped into a little boat which the mole had not observed. It was painted blue outside and white within, and was just the size for the two animals. and the mole's whole heart went out to it at once, even though he did not fully understand what it was. I completely resonate with that. I see a boat and my whole heart goes out to it, and it has done since I was little, something about the sheer boatiness of a boat. The rat sculled smartly across and made fast. Then he held up his forepaw as the mole stepped gingerly down. "Lean on that," he said. "Now then, step lively." And the mole, to his surprise and rapture, found himself actually seated in the stern of a real boat. "This has been a wonderful day," said he, as the rat shoved off and took the sculls again. "Do you know, I've never been in a boat before in all my life." "What?" cried the rat, open-mouthed. "Never been in a... You never... Well, what have you been doing then?" "Is it so nice as all that?" asked the mole shyly, though he was quite prepared to believe it as he leant back in his seat and surveyed the cushions, the oars, the rowlocks, and all the fascinating fittings, and felt the boat sway lightly under him. "Nice? It's the only thing," said the water rat solemnly, as he leaned forward for his stroke. "Believe me, my young friend, there is nothing, absolutely nothing, half so much worth doing as simply messing about in boats. Simply messing," he went on dreamily, "messing about in boats, messing—" "Look ahead, rat!" cried the mole suddenly. It was too late. The boat struck the bank full tilt. The dreamer, the joyous oarsman, lay on his back in the bottom of the boat with his heels in the air. "About in boats, or with boats," the rat went on composedly, picking himself up with a pleasant laugh. "In or out in them, it doesn't matter. Nothing seems really to matter. That's the charm of it. Whether you get away or whether you don't. Whether you arrive at your destination or whether you reach somewhere else. Or whether you never get anywhere at all. You're always busy. You never do anything in particular, and when you've done, it's always there something else to do. And you can do it if you like, but you'd much better not. Look here. If you've really nothing else on hand this morning, suppose we drop down the river together and have a long day of it." The mole waggled his toes from sheer happiness, spread his chest with a sigh of contentment, and leaned back blissfully into the soft cushions. "What a day I'm having," he said. "Let us start at once." "Well, hold hard a minute," said the rat. He looped the painter through a ring on his landing stage, climbed up into his hole above, and after a short interval reappeared staggering under a fat wicker luncheon basket. "Shove that under your feet," he observed to the mole as he passed it down into the boat. Then he untied the painter and took the sculls again. "What's inside it?" asked the mole, wriggling with curiosity. "Well, there's cold chicken inside it," replied the rat briefly. "Cold tongue, cold ham, cold beef, pickled gherkins, salad, French rolls, cress, sandwiches, spotted meat, ginger beer, lemonade, soda water. I can't do that as well as it's done in the book. I remember this as a child. Let me show you. He just does a lovely thing, typologically. There's cold chicken inside it. And then you get this one word. Is it cold tongue? I know, cold tongue, cold ham, cold beef. And the sense of the sheer abundance of all the picnic feast, all compressed together, is perfectly shown you in the way he makes one long word out of all these things in the picnic basket. "Oh, stop, stop," cried the mole in ecstasies. "This is too much." "Do you really think so?" inquired the rat seriously. "It's only what I always take on these little excursions, and the other animals are always telling me I'm a mean beast and cut it very fine." The mole never heard a word he was saying. Absorbed in the new life he was entering upon, intoxicated with the sparkle, the ripple, the scents and sounds, the sunlight, he trailed a paw in the water and dreamed long waking dreams. Water Rat, like the good little fellow he was, sculled steadily on and forbore to disturb him. "I like your clothes awfully, old chap," he remarked after some half hour had passed. "I'm going to get a black velvet smoking jacket myself some day, as soon as I can afford it." "I beg your pardon," said the mole, pulling himself together with an effort. "You must think me very rude, but all this is so new to me. So this is a river." "The river," corrected the rat. That's just glorious on so many levels. The rat getting on with the sculling so the mole can dream, and then complimenting the mole on his clothing and the way they make allowances for each other. The pleasure the ratty gets in the way the mole who so loves his boat. I rather like the idea of the rat getting a new black velvet smoking jacket. Of course, that's a reference to the velvety coat of the mole. It's just rich in every respect, that. And unconsciously, I think we were learning all kinds of things as children as we wrote that. But for me, it both confirmed my love of boats, which I'd already had as a child, and enriched it. In the sense, the sheer celebration of all things boaty in that passage has deeply enriched my own pleasure in my own boats. And I think I read that messing about in boats passage to on another occasion, actually quite a long time ago, and remarked on how I said it to my children when they were very young, and if they were to have children, I hope they would say it to theirs. But anyway, I've had the pleasure of reading it to you again and just doing, as it were, a double Wind in the Willows episode, but it was such fun. So thanks for dropping around again. Cheers.